Viewers and subscribers, welcome back to Beating the Press podcast. I am your host, Rafa. Now, coming up in this evening's podcast, we're going to be looking ahead, previewing the two big games coming up on the weekend. Newcastle plays host to Man City. And then, of course, the big one on Sunday, Manchester United taking on Spurs. Now, joining me this evening to preview these two matches, we have returning to the platform, Sir Cole.
Good evening, everyone. Glad to be back as usual.
Yes, indeed, Sir Cole. First time we're seeing you for the new year, but the games have been on, lots of results taking place. And, we're just looking forward to some exciting or some further exciting action coming up on the weekend. Two matches with some big implication, but we're going to jump straight in to it, Sir Cole. Newcastle taking on Man City. Talk to us about that one, Sir Cole. This one taking place at St. James's Park, of course.
Man City, I think, could have begun their resurgence. Newcastle, on the other hand, is seeing a bit of dip in form, not really riding as high as they were at the beginning of the season. I'm thinking that with the return of De Bruyne, it adds some more oomph to the Man City attack. Mind you, they are still without their main talisman in Haaland, but they should have enough, I think, to see off this team from Newcastle.
Yeah, definitely. This should be a very interesting game because in the reverse fixture, it was Man City getting the better of Newcastle, but it was Newcastle knocking Man City out of the cup. So this one is interestingly poised. And as you made mention earlier, City returning from the club World Cup where they were crowned champions. And of course, Newcastle coming off a win in the FA Cup. But definitely, form is not with Newcastle, dealing with several injuries. But they have some players coming back as well. And this rest during this downtime would have given them a bit more time to heal up, get themselves together and get themselves more organized, which I think the team Eddie Howe might put out, Sir Cole, is close to their best 11 at the moment, even though they're dealing with some injuries. It's more the fringe players because right now they have what you could say, their standard back four back in the likes of Trippier, Batman is now back, Char, and Burn. And that has been the tried and tested back four last season and earlier this season, which pretty much did the business for them. So those four players are back. Of course, their number one keeper is still out injured, but Dubravka have been deputizing, and I mean, you can't fault him thus far. He's been holding his own in goal. And of course, up front, Isak is there, Almiron is there, and the ever dangerous Guardians there. And in the midfield, again, you have what you would classify as close to their best three in the middle, Joelinton, Guimaraes, and Longstaff. So this Newcastle outfit that may show up come Saturday is close to what you could classify as the best 11 circle. So can they put up a stern test against Man City? I mean, with the
Yeah,
likes of Haaland out, and of course Kevin De Bruyne still injured.
I think that they can. Newcastle is a team which, on a given day, can turn up and play some fantastic football. So it is not outside of the realm of thinking that they could get a result versus City, but just know the type of animal that Man City is and the situation they are in where they are now chasing, because we have seen them chase before and chase successfully. They do thrive under pressure. It's like sometimes they do it on purpose to actually put a bit of excitement into the league. So even on which Newcastle turns up, they can get a result, but I think defensively Newcastle has just not been as solid as they were, or I just seen them in the past. So I think that Man City should be able to breach this Newcastle defense and come out with the result.
Yes, I definitely can't fault that assessment. I mean, the statistics will show that they are definitely conceding more goals than they did last season. So they are not as defensively solid as they once were. However, I do believe they have enough on the counter that could potentially pose a threat to this Man City team, who themselves are not necessarily exhibiting the best defensive record either. You know, we have the speedy wingers like Gordon and Isak who could potentially hurt Man City on the break. Of course, I expect Man City to really go into this one and dominate possession. But I think Newcastle playing at home with that St. James crowd behind them could give them an extra push forward circle. And they could potentially hurt this Man City team, who isn't
Yeah,
the most sound defensively.
definitely they can. They do have what it takes to get it done. However, I think at this point, Newcastle may be suffering from a bit of fatigue. Really, they have been, regarding now, overworking the workhorses, I think. And at this level, it really can cost if you keep on relying on the same players week in, week out without, a rest. Mind you, some of the players are also coming back from injured and may not be as sharp as they were at the beginning of the season. So that's a point. Mind you, Man City will have their version of that as well. Those who returning, De Bruyne returning, still not up to full fitness. So those may still play a part, but as usual, Man
And
City
and
the
and Haaland
champion.
potentially absent as well, Sir Cole. I mean, this is would be a prime opportunity for Newcastle to get something from this game. I mean, the talismanic Haaland is out, possibly injured. And as you mentioned, a few other players coming back who aren't as sharp as they probably would be when firing on all cylinders. So I'm thinking this is as good a time as any to really take something off Man City circle. You're not
Maybe
seeing it that way.
maybe that's a bit of wishful thinking on your part, so that they can help to deny the Man City charge. And as much as I, would figure that they can or they have the material to get it done, I really do not think that they will.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, Eddie Howe definitely has his work cut out in this one. And as mentioned, Newcastle haven't been getting the results down the stretch of late, in all honesty. And as you mentioned, it's gonna be a tough one, really getting something over this Man City team. Pep seemed to have these guys like a well-oiled machine, and their form is now picking up. I believe they are unbeaten in the last 6 games in our competition, and Newcastle would be hard pressed. I'm sure if you offered Newcastle a draw at this moment, they would bite your hand off for that draw. But I am still somewhat concerned, Sir Cole, in all honesty, about the firepower of City. I think if Newcastle can possibly stifle them in the first half, there might be something on the counter for this Newcastle team. We've seen the life of Isaac really step up in big games and really find a goal here or there. And if this Newcastle team can really stand up defensively, they could potentially, get something from this one. The ball is run.
Yeah, I mean, no team is infallible. No team is without flaw. No team is, perfect. They will have the area of weakness as well, which teams can exploit. It's a matter of taking the chances when they get them and deny the opponents chances at their goal. So with their best defense back, they should be able to put up a firmer challenge. Uh, I still think that the form that you saw early from Newcastle is a bit off in terms of they have fallen off the number of goals that we expect them to score per game. I believe it was earlier on this season they beat a team like 7 or 8 where they were very fluent in attack and they had all different scorers. First time in history that a team has scored such a high number of goals with all different scorers. But somehow I believe that they've gotten a bit stale. They've gotten a bit fatigued, and we're not seeing those results right now. And Man City, I just say, back on the climb, and should continue that climb towards the top.
Yes, definitely an interesting one coming up. But from a scoreline point of view, Sir Cole, I mean, you seem to be leaning towards Man City. How do you see it from a scoreline? What's your predicted call for this one?
Uh, I'm seeing a 2-0 Man City. It won't be a walkover game. It will be a hard fought game. Newcastle, trying to score as well, but I don't think they probably will reach the difference. They may get a goal, but I'm really looking at 2 goals for them.
Who goes to nil? Ah, I can't really disagree with that scoreline, Sir Cole. For me personally, I think Newcastle might get something from this one, but it's hard to see beyond a City victory. However, I do believe it will be a closer encounter, and I am leaning more towards 2-1 Man City win. I feel Newcastle has enough firepower, whether from a set play or from a devastating counter. I feel they will get a goal in this game, but I feel Man City will have too much firepower, especially if a Kevin De Bruyne is coming off the bench, a Phil Foden is firing, of course, the World Cup winner Alvarez, and of course, the tricky winger Doku. I think they will have enough in the tank to get past this Newcastle outfit, but I don't think it's gonna be a walkover. It's gonna be a very closely fought game, and it wouldn't surprise me if Newcastle held out for a draw, in all honesty. But I think Man City should take this 1-1.
One thing I've noticed is that in terms of studying Man City's patterns, especially when it comes to unbeaten runs, I think they have the training science down to a T. When other teams are on the decline physically, I think it when they're on the rise. So they're actually peaking at the right time. And with players being out, they have less fatigue in the legs accumulated over the season. Less minutes. De Bruyne is fully fresh. Doku was out for a while. Haaland will back eventually, probably next 2 or 3 weeks. So I think that when they come back and they actually get into a rhythm, they will be a very hard team to beat.
Mm. Indeed, time is the master. Time will tell, Sir Cole. Liverpool still riding high at the top of the table, and the charge of Man City is definitely coming. So they definitely have to keep their ears close to the ground and continue to churn out results. But we move, Sir Cole, and the big game coming up on Sunday. Manchester United playing host to Spurs. Manu, your team, Sir Cole, talk to us about this one. Can Manu finally get a good result? Can they show the type of football which produce results?
Manu on the offensive end has not been producing the goods that would have liked. They're one of the lowest scoring teams in the league right now. We have been assisted greatly by some good defensive performances towards the end of last year, which probably would have helped us to gain a few victories. But the offensive side still has me worried. We are still now depending, I think, on the youngster Garnacho to be the one to offer the killer blow for us. He's the one who looks most likely to score. In my view of from watching the Man U games, and I really don't think we will score more than 1 goal if we will score against the Spurs team.
Mm. Bull call their circle off the bat. Not expecting much from this Manchester United outfit at all. I mean, definitely Spurs hasn't had the best of results playing away from home though, circle. They normally play some scintillating football. But one thing I must say is that they are now missing a number of key players, circle. Son is
Yeah,
now
the thing
gone
is,
to the Asian Cup.
truth be told, 1 goal could be good enough in this game. It's a matter of if they can score the goal and keep the Spurs team at bay. So one goal may be enough, but I really don't see them scoring multiple times. Not in this.
Hmm. I guess the question is will one goal be enough? That is the question against
We
this
know on
first team.
Sunday. We never
Yeah,
know. Eh?
I mean, for me, this first team minus Son, minus Madison, minus Sar, minus Bissouma. I mean,
Push them say.
those are four key players that are usually in the Spurs starting 11 once everyone is fit. So it will be interesting to see how this team cope without Son or Madison. You know, previously we had a case where Madison was out, but Son was still around. Now it's a case where both players are away from the team. The good thing for Spurs, though, is that coming back are a couple of their standout defenders, Romero and Van der Veen. So it seems as if their first choice defensive unit is now intact, where you have Poro and Udogi along with Van der Veen and Romero and Vicario in goal. So that's their standard back five or back four, if you want to call it that. But it's on the offensive side circle where the changes are coming. You know, Richarlison is now playing the number 9 role, but who will replace Son? I mean, recently I heard the signing of Werner circle.
Yeah, I
Will
mean
Werner start in this game?
that's the point that I was going to make a while ago. Right now we're not sure what that front four will look like. We really don't know who will play where. Will you put Charles on the left, Werner up front, Johnson on the right? Right now, it can go anyway.
Kulusevski as well can either
Because,
play
yeah,
in the midfield or on the right also.
midfield, all right. We have seen Johnson play both sides. Johnson has played forward at,
Nottingham Forest.
at Forest. Werner could very well come in and be on the bench. So we're still guessing right now as to what that offensive four will look like. So it's
Or
very
even the midfield trio as well, Sir Cole. A number of players are missing from the midfield also. So that may be an area where changes are made as well. So
which is
the whole
possible.
offensive side of the Spurs team, it's really a guessing game as to which, you could say, which six will turn up and will they be cohesive and be able to trouble this Manchester United defense.
Yeah, it's many variables to assess right now. It's not like they had a. Well, I didn't see them play a cup game to actually get a reading as to what it may look like. We're,
Mm.
we're just going into this one very blind.
So
Trying to
it's possible then that whatever starting 11 and rolls out, it may be this 11 is playing together for the first time in a competitive fixture.
whatever 11 heroes out, I think yes, will definitely be a first time starting 11. We would have seen
Mm.
this 11 players play before, and even if you have the players playing not necessarily in those positions, that's where used to them seeing, because a lot of Stone has now changed the dynamic along with addition of Werner. So it's a wide open. Uh,
So in other words, in circle, if there was ever a good time to be Spain Spurs, now may very well be.
Yes, yeah, I would agree. I agree with that. Yes, but with Spurs having at least their defensive line in good health, and tried tested proven with that line that was leading the league at some point, I don't think that defense will reach more than once. Worse by this Man U team, which doesn't seem to be creating a lot a lot of trouble for the defenses in the league. So 1-0 or one goal may be enough, but I really not see a high scoring game in this one.
Yes, I mean, to be honest, Sir Cole, this should be a good test of the Spurs system as well, Sir Cole, because a good system, it's possible that all you need to do is to plug personnels in and it should continue to work. So this should be a good test of the Spurs style of play and the philosophy of Ange. You know, you're now missing key players. However, I'm expecting a similar pattern of building from the back, transitioning it from defense to midfield to forward, short passing game. Uh, the right backs and the left backs really bombing on and really overlapping and creating problems in the opposition 18-yard box. So this should be a good test. And to be honest, I'm expecting a similar Spurs to really show up Circle. Even though they are missing key players, we've seen where Ange have been able to rally the team, so to speak, and continue to play his type of football, regardless of the personnel that is out there.
Yes, I think we really can expect whatever the starting 11. Spurs will go on their front foot. They will sit back and absorb pressure and have that kind of approach. They will go out and try and get the goals upon the very first whistle. That's for sure is what we're come to expect from.
But Sir Cole, don't you think that approach will play perfectly into the hands of Manchester United, who seem these days to be counter-attacking team? I mean, wouldn't
In
Ange be thinking
theory,
of this?
in theory, yes, but our blades are very dull right now. We're not really have a cutting edge to to do damage. We struggled, I think, on the weekend with we got in Monday in the FA Cup, a 2-0 win. I mean, you're playing such opposition. I would expect a bigger margin to separate yourself more from such lower league teams. So and I mean they kind of start penalty for the second goal. So it really for me was a 1-0 game. So I mean, very impressed with Manu in attack
Your
right now.
confidence seems to be very low on
It is
this
very low.
Manchester United
It is very low, sir.
circle.
Yeah,
And I
man,
mean, to
low.
be honest, one of the standout players, it seems, is that youngster Mano Circle. He
Yes.
seemed to be getting a number of starts and really stamping his class, so to speak, on this team, where he's possibly one of the first teams on the team sheet right now, our first names on the team sheet.
Yes, since he has come in, especially for his age, he has shown a certain level of maturity and really isn't out of place within this league and within this team. So the future is bright, I think, for his for a player of his talent.
Yes, indeed. And I mean, a bit of controversy we saw earlier in the week as well, building up to this game, Circle, is the staying back of Onana, you could say, who should be at the African Cup of Nations. I'm saying, what's going on here? I mean, this point in time, Onana has really put himself in hot water in the sense that if he does have a poor performance, Circle, it will be said that his mind was at the African Cup of Nations. And if and when he does leave to play for his respective team, if he performs poorly there, then it's going to be said that, hey, this was his first training session with the team.
Well,
So it's almost like a lose-lose situation where he has to get the job done.
We have seen him perform poorly before this. So long before AFCON became a talking point. So for me, it won't really be a factor in my analysis of whatever outcome. What I can say is based on what I read, it was an agreement between the Man United club and the Cameroonian FA to say okay, they will allow him to stay for the
This fixture coming up.
yeah, for this game. So if both the FA and the club can reach an agreement, then who am I to say no? It can't work because
but Circle, I mean, is this a good move? However, from a footballing point of view,
from whose
is this from both a Manchester United as well as a Cameroon perspective? Wouldn't the Cameroon coach want his players together to at least get a few training sessions before their first game?
The fact that they have reached an agreement, I haven't heard any party coming out to say, well, then they weren't in agreement with this. Or anyone crying foul that it was an underhand move. It's an agreement between both parties. It is not the norm to happen, but it has happened and it doesn't seem out of place illegal took place. It's,
Yes, yes.
you see it this way, but if you agree, then I really don't have any go to civilian boy. It should not be so.
Right, right.
And I mean, goalkeeper is a position where you figure, say, all right, if you're going to allow a player to be missing for training, but then come in to join the team, I don't figure, say, goalkeeper is that one position where require less in terms of integration with the others. Mind you, it is very important. Yet still not the same, but to really identify one position, it's not really a central midfield position, central defense where So they come to the agreement and let's see how it goes. Let's just hope it pays off for both parties.
Yes, indeed, hopefully. And I mean, on the other side, we see the signing of Werner Circle, that former Chelsea footballer who had a torrid time, you could say, Chelsea. And he went back to Leipzig and he seemed to have been out of favor at Leipzig. He's now returned to the EPL, now representing Spurs. What are your thoughts on Werner Circle? Is it the same Werner at Chelsea that we'll be seeing, or will we see a more invigorated Werner, one who is producing the goods?
Well, this is a very hard one to read. I tell you, I was very surprised by it because, as I say,
I
he
mean, I also heard Manchester United was also linked closely to the player circle. So it seems as if
I've heard him
Spurs beat Manchester
mention
United
around
to the
Madrid circles
punch.
as well. I really can't say why because I mean it's not like his time in the league was one where he enjoyed and left with a we can say left with his head held high. Uh, Known more for his misses than for his goal scoring. Wasn't enjoying much success at his club in Germany. I'm really not sure what was the rationale in terms of deciding in terms of a type of player that they're looking for. I don't know. This one
I guess we have to leave this one to time circle. In
the thing
time,
is,
we will see the outcome.
I recall Bernard's very first interview when he was speaking about the size of the defenders, which to me showed that his mental state. The boy he kind of afraid of these players. He's not really used to the kind of physicality that that the league displays, and as his results show, he really did not cope well. I don't think the defense any smaller or any slower. So I really don't think that his success level will really change. I'm not sure if Spurs will create more chances for him or suit his style of play more to exploit his strengths. I really don't know. I'm guessing
Or
on it.
even working under a different coach, who may play him in a different position or use him in a different way, as opposed to how Chelsea was using him, or even the pressure of, maybe a big price tag that he came in with at Chelsea. All of these are things that may factor in, and
Mind
who to
you,
tell.
sometimes we've seen transfers where a player was not doing well and come in and had that immediate impact. I won't say it hasn't happened because I've seen it happen, but I'm really not sure. Most times it happens where a player has done well in the past, probably would have fallen out of favor, gone to another club and did well.
Mm.
Brendan has not proven himself in this league before. So well, then a comeback may give different results.
Interesting times ahead then. Interesting times ahead.
Bro.
But Sir Cole, I mean, how do you see this one playing out then, Sir Cole, from a result point of view?
From a result point of view, I'm going to sit on the fence with this one and call it at 1-1.
1-1. Well, for me, Sir Cole, I think it should be a tight game, but I just think Spurs, Sir Cole, Spurs to me is playing some tremendous football. So to me, regardless of who the personnel that goes out there, once Ange maintain his system of play, his philosophy, I think Spurs may very well get something from this one, especially if they can get the first goal and pretty much the Old Trafford crowd turns on this Manchester United team. I feel Spurs may very well go on to get all 3 points. I just feel the team is playing well. Their defense or their first choice defense is now back. And I think there is enough firepower, enough pace in this team, in this Spurs team. Bernard Johnson, Richarlison is in some good form as well. And possibly a Werner Circle. He may very well be the X factor in this game. Who to tell he may
Uh,
open his account the first time of asking, unlike the Haaland from Manchester United. And I think Spurs. I'm backing Spurs to get a result in this one. I'm backing Spurs for a 2-1 victory circle.
a 2-1 victory.
A
Well,
2-1 victory.
it is not also the realm of possibilities. Very, very, I would say likely scoreline. However, I just don't see. But mind you, Man U's defense hasn't been the worst in the league. We have gotten some good results, and with Onana still present for this game, he should be able to deny them some goals and at least keep them to below 2 goals.
Indeed, indeed. Time will tell. Definitely looking forward to this one. This one taking place on Sunday over there at Old Trafford, and it should definitely be a mouth-watering affair. In fact, it should be the standalone game in that time slot, as the league has now somewhat split. So half the teams are in action this weekend, Circle, and then the other half will be in action the previous weekend. So teams like Liverpool, teams like Bournemouth are now on you could say, a little break slash rest. I
Yes,
believe a
so
number of teams are also currently now doing some warm weather training. I saw some images of Arsenal, for example, down there in Dubai, doing some training in some warm weather.
the league over the last few seasons, right? Not just this season, they have, based on the fact that England doesn't have a winter break like over the Christmas, they have now offered the players a rest at this time where the league for this match day is staggered. So half the teams rest 1 week and the other half rest the other week, which I think is a good way to at least give the rest but maintaining football right through. So I think well played by the FA on this one. Many times they get some stick, but this time I think it's a very very good move.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, keeping the fans entertained, fans like myself and you, Circle, definitely keeping us with some football action continuing to take place over the weekends. We can now look forward to some EPL action on the weekend, and it's not a blank slate where we have to search for some other sporting activities, which might not necessarily be our first choice. So I'll just say fantastic idea by the FA, definitely one I endorse, and it can work in two ways as well, because now, with the likes of Man City in action and league leaders Liverpool being rested, this is an opportunity for Man City to really put some pressure on those teams at the top of the table. And same can be said of Arsenal. I believe Arsenal should be in action this week as well, and they can definitely step things up and try to put some pressure on those teams at the top. So it should definitely be an interesting week of football, Circle. Definitely looking forward to it. But Circle, any final thoughts on the set of matches coming up for this weekend in particular?
Well, yeah, many teams right now are actually trying to cope with injuries. We see where many players are out. You know, have doubts in terms of playing. Most teams, especially in the back line, has some amount of injury. We saw Bowen going out for West Ham. Haaland still not back. Akanji picking up an injury in the FA Cup game. Torres for Aston Villa still out, still doubtful. So this rest week period will help definitely some teams. So the league will actually settle and get back to its normal way. We have 10 games over the span of the weekend. In the other week in January, in the 20 something. So uh let's hope that the teams can overcome the injuries and get back to regular programming.
Yes, indeed. And of course, the January transfer window is also open. So we have to keep a close eye on that. Lots of incomings and going outs as well. Some high profile players going out. Players such as Sancho, for example, Sir Cole, is now back to Dortmund. I believe a loan agreement. Some fans would have preferred a more permanent move. We see Dyer from is moving to Bayern Munich. Cole, a shock transfer to many, but Dyer does offer some level of versatility, which that Bayern Munich team could potentially use. So some interesting pieces moving around, some incomings and some outgoings as well. So we have to definitely keep a close eye on the transfer window. And of course, a number of players are after the Asian Cups, number of players after the AFCON as well. So those are some matches coming up on the weekend as well, Circle. The African Cup of Nations kicks off this Saturday also, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, Circle. So after the EPL action, more football continues. We can take a look at what's going on the African continent. Oftentimes these tournaments don't get enough hype or media attention as those of the Euros or even, the South American Copa America, for example. So we have to give some media attention, some viewership to, our African brothers.
That
And
is
I'm
true. I agree.
definitely looking forward to even watching a team like Egypt and seeing how Mo Salah carries on, hoping he doesn't get injured and can come back for Liverpool. But we move and looking forward to another wonderful weekend of action, Sir Cole. Just like to thank you again, Sir Cole, for coming on board and of course sharing your views and your opinion. Viewers and subscribers, thanks for tuning in to us here on Beating the Press podcast. Please continue to share. And of course, if you haven't subscribed as yet, hit that subscription bell. But until next time, this is Rafa signing off.